Man, this episode right here continues to solidify something that I've been saying for years. We keep getting these prequel series or spin-off series of Cassian Andor, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Boba Fett, Mandalorian, etc., etc. But I'm like, give me a prequel series with Vader in his prime based off the Vader Down comic where he's just taking out and hunting Jedi, being brutal as hell. Like, I want it. Vader, I'm ready for you. Let's go. Even though he'll take me out easily. But if he does, it'd be a hate crime. Both an anti-black one and a gay, and it's Pride Month too. Vader, come on. You can't touch me. Welcome to my safe haven, everybody. Thank you so much for clicking on another video of mine on this Black Gay Comic Geek channel. If this is your first time checking out one of my videos, hey, how's it going? Thank you for clicking on the video. Let me introduce myself. I am Michael. I am the Black Gay Comic Geek. I always say the things that I love to talk about on my channel has blood, sex, gore, and magic, or any variation of the four. So I like to talk about superheroes. I like to talk about action movies. I like to talk about sci-fi. I like to talk horror movies. I like to talk fantasy. And I like to talk about black representation and queer representation, or a lot of times the lack thereof in sci-fi, fantasy, shows, movies, video games, comic books, etc. So if that's something that you are interested in, if you think representation equals normalization and representation matters, and you want to hear a perspective other than the straight white male or even black straight males or women that are straight, and you want to hear a queer perspective, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. But whether you're subscribed or not, do me another favor, hit the like button. It'll really help with the YouTube algorithm and not only getting this video out there, but my channel out there as well, so we can continue to grow the Black Gay Comic Geek train. But yeah, we are here to talk about episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So spoilers for this episode, and this episode is just simply titled Part 3. And this episode is once again directed by Deborah Chow, who I believe she did the first 2 episodes, and she's done some of my favorite episodes of The Mandalorian. And it sees Obi-Wan continuing to evade the Empire as he's searching for allies, as he's trying to bring young Leia back home to Alderaan. And while I enjoyed episodes 1 and 2, episode 3, best episode so far. Like, this episode was incredible. And then again, the biggest joygasm of this episode was getting to see, like, and even just the opening 10 minutes as you get to see the transformation of Anakin Skywalker into the monster of Darth Vader that he is. I think this is the most we've seen of him being put together. Like, we've seen some of it, but I feel like this is the longest they've actually stayed on it. And I thought the scene was incredible, especially juxtaposed to the other scene that we were getting of Obi-Wan trying to seek his master Qui-Gon Jinn, because he now knows that Anakin is alive, which he considers his greatest failure. And considering that Anakin is Darth Vader in this monstrous suit because of Obi-Wan, I thought it was just a great scene that just went together. Speaking of a great scene, and this is the thing I love about Star Wars, how they are always willing to go practical and CGI. So seeing like the effect and the makeup design of the character of Freck, I think that's his name. And even though he ended up being a bad guy, so to speak, he praised he was for the Empire, I was still just like, I like Freck. And I was mad that he turned on that. I was like, I don't know who the voice actor is, but I'm like, it sounds familiar. But I was just like, oh, come on, Freck, don't betray them. But I am liking that we're still getting more from young Leia, played greatly by Vivian Lyra Blair, and getting to see her work with Obi-Wan, getting to see her work with Ewan McGregor. I like the two of them together, and to see, like, and then also not only getting to see, like, young Leia, she's basically a princess, and she also lived a very sheltered life, and this is really her first time outside of Alderaan. So of course, as a child, she wants to kind of run amok a little bit, and she's curious, she's inquisitive, as most children are. And so, even though she still has that Leia sass that we know her to grow up to be, she's still a kid at the end of the day. And in a lot of aspects, kids can be annoying. Kids don't listen. I know when I was a kid, my mother tells me all the time I was bad and I didn't listen. So, and then not only just that, but being on Alderaan, being a princess, she's not used to people being mistrustworthy. People that, because every adult pretty much around her is somebody that she can trust, somebody that pampers and caters to her as Princess Leia Organa. But during that whole scene, this is something that confused me, and I don't know if this is something that's in the canon that I just don't know about, because like I said, I haven't seen like Rebels, I don't read all the books, I haven't finished the Clone Wars, I've only seen like the up to the 5th season. I don't play all the games. I only play the ones that are released on PlayStation. But during that scene where Leia and Obi-Wan were on that freighter with Freck, eventually you heard the voice, and I also had the closed caption on as well. You heard female stormtroopers. And I was just like, I thought during this time in Star Wars, especially with the height of Vader and Palpatine, all of the stormtroopers were all clones of Jango Fett. They're all male. There are no female stormtroopers. I know during the sequel trilogy, when the First Order takes over and Kylo Ren and Emperor Snoke, they're not clones anymore. They just abduct children. And then, yeah, you have female stormtroopers. You have black stormtroopers like Finn. They're not all clones. They got rid of the clone troopers. But during this period in Star Wars, I thought it was the clone troop, because it literally, isn't this right? I mean, obviously it's 10 years or maybe 5 years later. It's right after Order 66, but it's still, at least I thought it was still the clone troopers. So I'm like, why are there female stormtroopers right now? I don't know. Maybe that's something I'm missing or don't know, or maybe it was a plot hole or a mistake. That happens in shows sometimes. I'm just curious. I mean, plot holes happen all the time. Like, remember in A New Hope? No, I think it was Empire Strikes Back. Or maybe even Return of the Jedi. I don't remember, but Leia and Luke were having a conversation. And Leia was saying to Luke that, because I think Luke asked her, do you remember your real mother? Talking about Padme. She was like, very vaguely. I remember her face, her smile. I remember her smell and all that. I have vague memories of her. But then you get to the prequel, and Padme died like literally seconds after the two of them were born. So there's no way she would have memory of her mother. Or even think about A New Hope, where Obi-Wan and R2-D2 meet for the first time. And he's like, he seems to know you. And he's like, I don't remember having a droid. And then we find out in the prequel trilogy that they were together this whole time. Or like, I could go on and on with like the Star Wars inconsistency. How Anakin created 3PO, but yet Vader, when he sees 3PO, he doesn't recognize him at all. Or same with R2. Like, yeah. But anyway, that's just the question that I had. But what makes me different than toxic fans, I have that question. I'm like, oh, is that a plot hole? You don't see me sending death threats to Ewan McGregor or people in the cast or the writers and actors and everything like that. I'm just asking a question. Speaking of, I'm so glad that they were able to get James Earl Jones back to voice Darth Vader. Like, I can't hear any other voice besides James Earl Jones as Darth Vader. And considering we only have but so much time with James Earl Jones, because James Earl Jones is in his 90s. We only have a couple of years with James Earl Jones. I want use him as much as he's willing to do it and as much as you can. Because that voice, the two of them, like, it's iconic. At the same time, though, I do kind of feel bad because they did get Hayden Christensen back. And he did talk about being in the suit. But, like, he's in the suit, but you don't even really get to hear him act. Like, he's just there, like, doing the movements. And probably not even fully, because you got stunt actors as well. So part of me is like, I guess he's just there collecting a check, because what is he doing? And I mean, obviously you saw certain moments in this episode where you saw Hayden Christensen outside of the suit. So there'll probably be more moments of those. But him as Vader, like, I'm like, you could just get anybody to do it, because it's going to be James Earl Jones' voice, not Hayden Christensen. But either way, Vader was brutal in this episode. Again, this is Vader in his prime. This is like 20 years or whatever before A New Hope. So Vader's still young. He's not old. He's still, even when Vader was older, when Luke and Leia were adults, he was still pretty powerful. But this is, like, again, this is Vader in his prime. This is what I've always wanted to see, especially since that hallway scene in Rogue One. And to see him just mercilessly taking people out in hopes of trying to lure Obi-Wan out from hiding. Like, I loved this final scene between the two of them. And just to see, like, even though Obi-Wan was willing to kill Anakin that first time, like, he couldn't bring himself to do it again. Like, he said it before, you were my brother, Anakin, I loved you. You were supposed to bring balance to the Force. He's still facing PTSD from not only just that moment, but then Order 66, and so he couldn't bring himself to fight Anakin again. And then plus, he's like cut himself off from the Force for the last like 10 years, so he's rusty. And even Vader made mention, the years have made you weak. While Vader's been doing nothing but honing his skills, hunting other Jedi. And so Vader was just so brutal. Like, the fact that he picked up Obi-Wan and dragged him through the fire to inflict somewhat of the same pain that he went through when he first made the transformation to become Vader, when all his body got burned up. I was just like, man, this man is, I'm like, man, Vader is the very definition of 0 F's to give. But I'm also kind of wondering now, is Reva really a villain? I mean, obviously she's tapped into the dark side. She's doing villainous things, like she's cutting off people's hands, she's killing people. But like, is she doing that because she really wants to get close to Vader for some reason? And with the theory that she's closely tied and connected to Obi-Wan and Vader, which is why she has this strong vendetta against them. Like, is she really trying to get Obi-Wan and connect to Obi-Wan so she could become close to Vader? So then maybe she could become Vader's right-hand woman, the Grand Inquisitor, as he mentioned in this episode, so she can get close to him to kill him? Because there is a theory going on that she was one of the kids during Order 66 that ended up escaping. And who was the one that committed Order 66? It was Palpatine. Who was the one going around the Jedi Temple killing Padawans? It was Anakin. So obviously she would have had to have seen that. So she definitely has, and she knows that Anakin and Darth Vader are one and the same. So maybe she wants to get close to Anakin or get close to Vader to get his guard down so she can try to take him out. Which obviously we know how that's gonna go, because we don't see an Inquisitor Reva. Because we don't see an Inquisitor Reva in any of the Rebels or anything like that, which takes place after this show. But either way, favorite episode so far of the 3. I want to see more of the dynamic between Vader and Obi-Wan. Like, I want to just see more Vader, really. Like, granted, I love Obi-Wan, but again, give me a Vader strictly prequel series. Give me a Vader strictly video game. Like, I want more Vader. But anyway, the question is, have you guys seen Part 3, Episode 3 of Obi-Wan? What are all of your thoughts? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, if you can, once again, please hit that like button and really help out with the channel. If this is one of your first time checking out one of my videos, please check out the other videos on my channel. And if you like what you see, please subscribe for more and hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video. And tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.